Hello my YouTube friends, Late Boy Scout here, and this is my review of the Cold Steel American Lawman folding knife. A fantastic new knife from Cold Steel. Well, a fantastic redesigned knife from Cold Steel. They've had the American Lawman out for some time, but this is the new American Lawman. Biggest change would be the fact that there are no stainless steel liners in there whatsoever. It's all G10. I haven't really seen this from any other manufacturer. It's kind of going out on a limb and really putting a lot of faith in G10 as a frame material for a knife. Not just handle scale anymore, not just giving texture to the handle, but actually making up the structural frame of the knife. Wow. I mean, that's a big thing, you know, that Cold Steel is going for this, and really, they've pulled it off. This is a tough knife. I mean, wow. I'm really excited about this knife. I have been very excited about this knife for a long time. And, well, let me back up just a little bit. I've been really excited about the Cold Steel triad locking mechanism for a long time. And watching some of those Cold Steel videos, which are very fun to watch, those abuse tests and how they beat up their knives and really stress that lock, putting hundreds of pounds of pressure on it. I mean, that alone sold me on that lock, and it just took me a little while to decide on which triad locking knife I wanted. I picked the Cold Steel American Lawman mainly because of this choke-up choil right here, which I'll take any chance I get. Said so in another video, and you see that here on the Bird Cara 2, also on the Bird Crow. And let's throw out one more, the Manix 2. Love that choke-up choil. Whenever I can get it, I love being able to get that kind of fine detail. Turns a large knife into a small knife as far as its abilities to do fine detail work. So I'll take that any chance I get. And when it came to a contest between the Lawman, the AK-47, and the Recon 1, the Lawman won because of that feature right there, for me. Maybe not for you, maybe you don't care about that, but for me, I really love that, and that's why I chose the American Lawman over those other two knives. Interesting fact though, Cold Steel is pretty much revamping all their knives. This appears to be the case in the Cold Steel 2011 catalog. Looking at all the folders they have there, they all seem to feature the triad lock. You know, they've hit on something really cool here, guys. It's basically an improved backlock. It's basically what it is. It operates like a backlock, right? Yeah, but it's vastly improved from other backlocks that you've seen. Okay, the Cara 2, for instance, backlock with the David Boyd dent, or detent, whatever you want to call it. But there is no stop pin involved. The lock meets the blade, and that's that. If there is ever any kind of loosening right here, you are, well, you know, you're going to get loose. If there's any kind of loosening in that area, that's, you know, it's just going to get loose, and there's no way to fix it. What Cold Steel has done is they have basically come up with a cross between a lockback and, let's say, a liner. Well, this is actually a frame lock. Frame lock, which has a nice stop pin there for the blade. Okay, that stop pin takes a whole lot of pressure from that blade. Any kind of forward cutting pressure is transferred to that stop pin, which is then transferred to the entire frame. Right? Makes sense, right? Well, basically Cold Steel has done that here. All that pressure is not transferred to the lock itself. It's transferred to the stop pin, which is transferred to the entire frame. Okay, so that's why they call it the triad lock, because there's three elements: the blade, the pin, and the lock. And, well, the frame, I guess, is maybe another element, but the pin and frame kind of work together, so that's one element together. So, yeah, it's a backlock improved. It's a backlock evolved. And I'm really, really excited about it. Obviously, Cold Steel is too, because it's, like I said, in almost all of their new knives. And I'm really looking forward to picking up some of those new knives if and when I get a chance to, and if and when some funds come in for those. All right, so back to this knife. Comes in at a weight of about 4.5 ounces. You have Aussate, a stainless steel here. Has been fantastic for me. Resharpens well, holds a good edge, and came pretty good and sharp. But to be honest, I had to have that kind of re-profiled, professionally redone. And I'll try to explain why. This edge right here, I don't know if I'll be able to show or illustrate in any way. That edge right there was kind of ground unevenly. And so what you were looking at was not a sort of TP like this, how it ought to be, but rather something like this, or maybe like this. Does that make sense? You know, that was the edge right there, and then the rest of the blade kind of came straight down. So it was just kind of ground unevenly in that sense, and I found that to be a little, difficult with certain cutting tasks. I wanted that to be right in the center. So I just had that redone. Didn't cost me much, like $3. I'm a local guy, no big deal. And I did a little touching up myself to it, and I've sharpened it once or twice since then, as I've put it through quite a bit of use, as you can see. I'll tell you all about that use in a little while here. The blade length is something like 3 inches. Let's look at that. Something like 3 inches for cutting area. Then the handle length is something like, what is it, 4.5? No, sorry, about 4 3/4 inch. Okay, cool. The G10 is the grippiest damn G10 I've ever seen in my life. Holy crap. I thought the Manix 2 was pretty grippy when I first got it. And it is. It's nice. It's a good balance of grippiness and slide it in your pocketness. Ease of drawing it out and putting it back in. This stuff abandons the idea of making it easy to put in your pocket and says, no, this has to stay in your hand no matter what. So let's make this grippy as hell. And they have. Holy smokes. I had to sand underneath that pocket clip. You might be able to tell there. Had to sand underneath that pocket clip in order to make it doable for pocket carry. That's how freaking grippy this is. And I'll probably sand under that a little bit more. It's doing okay right now, though. While we're on the subject of pocket clip, it's perfect. It's about as perfect as a pocket clip gets. Short, subdued, blackened. Not as long as this one, as you can see. This one's okay, but this one's just, just only as much there as it needs to be. Doesn't call attention to itself. It's just barely there. I really, really, really like what they've done with these pocket clips. By the way, since, as you can see, it's kind of curves up like this, they actually provided 2 pocket clips, so you can put the other one here if you prefer to carry it that way. Does not reposition up here at all. Sorry for those of you who like to carry tip down. Does not work. Yes, I added a lanyard to that lanyard hole. Just a little strip of 550 cord I had left over from a bracelet I was making. And a little fancy knot there. I don't remember what that's called. And I like having this here. Having put it on there, I realized that it kind of gives a little bit of nice pinky retention. You can wrap that on there and get a nice grip on that. It's nice, It's almost like, with a fixed blade knife, I'd want to have that around my whole wrist. But with a small EDC blade like this, I'm doing any kind of hard work, get that wrapped around my pinky, I feel like the retention is improved in hand. Yeah, I like it. Talk a little bit more about the blade shape. It's a little bit of a drop point here, a great belly to it. Nice, it's just a great shape for everyday carry tasks, for everyday use. It's darn near ideal. And a good tip for piercing, hollow ground from about here down, and comes to a good fine edge, which has just been marvelous for a number of hard use tasks. Thumb stud, as you can see, favors the right side right now, but it's very easy to unscrew that right here. And both of these pop out, and then you would just kind of flip them around, put it in the other way, screw it back on, and you're ready to be left-handed. One thing I've heard other people say, and one thing that I can attest to with this triad locking knife, is the strength of the lockback and how it sort of sticks sometimes. Actually, it's kind of stuck right now. It doesn't want to go. Doesn't want to go. I'm going to have to bear down on that. Ah, there we go. In order to get it to close. And I've opened and closed this knife many, many times. So the fact that it still sticks a little bit sometimes, well, it's good and bad. You know, it means that it's going to be a little tricky to close sometimes, but it also means that this thing is nowhere near loose. It's nowhere near loosening up. And that's very cool. This thing is going to last quite a long time, I'm quite sure. The lockup on it is still good and tight. Front to back, no movement whatsoever, side to side. Only the slightest, and that's because I put it through a little bit of hard use. And I adjusted the pivot screw and brought that back to near factory settings as far as side-to-side play is concerned. And that is well within my acceptable range, to tell you the truth. Jimping on here is basically cosmetic. It's kind of, you know, a little bit of holes drilled into the back of the spine of the G10, and that's all. Not the blade at all. And you know what? I'll take it. I'd like to have some jimping there, but honestly, for some hard use, it's more comfortable to not have a lot of jimping there. For some hard detail use, yeah. And if I'm doing some stabbing motions and some sort of emergency use, definitely, I'd like that to be very well retained. However, given that extremely textured G10 and this wonderful choil right here, I don't feel like there's any real danger of my hand sliding forward in a piercing motion. I really don't feel like there is. Ergonomics on it are pretty darn good. Pretty darn good. A close second to the Manix 2, which is outstanding. Some of the best ergonomics I've felt on a knife. Price is around, well, it's kind of varied. The best price I've seen for it is like 45, 48 bucks. And the highest price I've seen for it is 70-ish. So shop around, you'll find this for a great deal. And it is a great knife for that price. I mean, unbelievably good for that price. Made in Taiwan, yes, I'll take it. Let's talk about some of that hard use that I promised you. So what did I do with this knife to get it all kind of scratched up and put through such hard use, huh? Anybody want to know? How about carve a bow and arrow for my son? Yeah, that's right. Carved a bow and arrow out of bamboo. Not very thick bamboo, but it's just right for kids. Just some stuff that, you know, was left over from a little decorative project that somebody had. Had some decorative bamboo, but you know, the decorative stuff is still pretty strong. No, I didn't do all this work with the Cold Steel Lawman. I actually took a jigsaw to make this cut right here. You know, go all the way up like this. And of course this was straight at the time. It's kind of bent now. But I used a jigsaw first, and then for all the finishing work, you know, shaved it all down with this knife here. Shaved that all down. And whew, this is actually a pretty good bow, you know, for a kid. This thing shoots about 50 yards or so. And it's been holding up really well. Yeah, there's a nice little cut out there for the arrow. Jealous, aren't you? Wish I made one of these for you, don't you? Yeah, I bet you do. Bet you wish that. No, just for my kids. Sorry. I get to play with it a little bit too, of course, because I made it. It's awesome. Put on like that, string the bow, string across like that. It's awesome. It really, really works well. And a couple arrows for it, of course. Nice and high-vis arrows. And how did I make the feathers? Oh, look at that. Gorilla tape. Yeah, Gorilla duct tape. And of course I had to notch the arrows. Did not sharpen them though. Nope. And that's a little bit of dirt flying through the air, landing in the grass. Had to paint them high-vis, of course, because kids don't have very good vision when it comes to stuff like this. I don't know what their deal is, but they just can't find it in the grass. Anyway, some of the cool stuff that I've made with my Cold Steel American Lawman. Maybe I'll do some video showing this stuff in action. We'll see. Anyway, a lot of fun. Cold Steel American Lawman. Fantastic knife. Yes, it's a bit thick in pocket. I don't know if I covered that. about 1/2 inch. And I've said in the past that I don't like big, thick knives for EDC tasks. However, knowing the amount of abuse that this knife can take, knowing the strength that it has, I'm willing to take that size and that weight because, well, you get something really good in return for that. So I'll take it. When it comes to little rinky-dink knives that are just kind of looking cool, but I know they won't take anything like this, any of the same kind of abuse that this will take, then no thank you. I need it to be nice and slim. I want it to be small and slim, okay? Like the Kershaw Chill. It's just an easy-going little knife getting small cutting tasks done. Yeah, but I want this to be nice and beefy, fill my hand, and really be tough. And it is. Cold Steel American Lawman. I absolutely love it. Highly recommend it. I'm the Late Boy Scout. That's my review of this knife. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys later.